Check, 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 check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Microphone, checka, checka, checka. Yes, sir. Miami on the rocks. Casey Chops. We are live. Appreciate everyone tuning in. We're going to do more live streams moving forward. I'm going to announce an exact time soon and exact days, but we're going to do it every day, Monday through Friday. That's how I'm feeling. Going to be a mixture of music, a mixture of interviews, turn up conversations, party vibes, and then there's going to be some conversations that are serious. All types of stuff. I got my brother, Erik Answerman, in here. What's up, my bro?
Is this the first live stream you're doing?
No, this is the third one. So,
okay.
How's everything, bro?
Yeah, you know, just hanging around.
I like it. I like it. Yeah. I caught you in the CVS randomly the other day, right under my building. I was like, we need to talk. For the people that don't know Erik, I've had you on my podcast, like 3-4 years ago. For the people that don't know, Erik was instrumental in Mims' career during the days of "This Is Why I'm Hot." Everyone knows that song. Mm-hmm. Real quick, do you want to just put a bow on that, tie that up, and let people know just your parts in that?
I mean, I'm a recovering music executive, right? So I worked for major record labels most of my career. Worked with big artists, everyone from Metallica to Fabulous to Busta Rhymes, and started my own management and production company. And Mims and I are business partners till this day, but I was the executive producer of his first 2 albums. I helped obviously blow up This Is Why I'm Hot. I helped get him his record deal. But a fun fact that people don't really know about me, I don't know if you even know, but Mims and I actually signed Jason Derulo. So we gave Jason his first record production deal before he signed to Warner Brothers. We actually let him out of his contract with us so he can go get his deal with Warner Brothers. But I also signed 2 Pistols to my management company. He had a top 5 record called She Got It with T-Pain. I signed another artist from Baltimore named Wish, who I signed to Jive Records, which is the company I used to work for. And I also helped the Interns, which are one of the biggest production duos in the music industry, get their publishing deal. And my business partner discovered them, and they worked on Mims' album. And of course, Blackout, DJ Blackout, my brother, my business partner, been instrumental in helping his career.
Dope. We're going to go dive really into the music industry game a little later. But one of the main reasons why I thought it was very topical and relevant right now to bring you here and interview you, bro, is because you've been a Bitcoin enthusiast, connoisseur, whatever you want to call it, from day one. Yeah. A big part of our last podcast when we talked was about Bitcoin and the future of Bitcoin, and there was skepticism behind it. And if anyone's still a little bit skeptic, I mean, you're really behind right now, because I think the cat is out of the bag. Bitcoin is here to stay. But you know what? I do want to add some nuances into that conversation. Trump got elected. Bitcoin took a big jump, right? It went from like 70 to 90, like basically.
Yeah, it went from like 60 to 90. It's up at 36% today since Trump got elected. Got
you. And when we did that first conversation, me and you, this was like in 2021, like right after the pandemic. Where was Bitcoin at that time, bro? It might have been like
I don't think it was. You said 4 years. I don't think it was 4 years ago. I think it might have been like a couple of years ago. But it was, I think, 30,000 or 20-something thousand at that time. And I was screaming on your podcast. I wasn't telling people necessarily to buy Bitcoin. I was just telling people why I was into Bitcoin and where I felt the trajectory of Bitcoin was going to be today. And I was 100% right.
And boy, were you right, bro. Yeah. Like from $20,000, $30,000 to $90,000 is where it's at right now. And my thing is that I had a homeboy come to me, probably in 2016, and he was telling me, bro, this thing is called Bitcoin. Buy a couple dollars, At the time, you had to do it on Binance in China, and you had to do it a real sketchy way. And I remember buying a couple dollars in Bitcoin when it was probably $2, bro. And then I remember it went up to a certain amount, and I sold it, and then Binance China closed down, so I had to like sell it at that time, and I've bought Bitcoin before. My whole Bitcoin career has been buying and selling it, bro. I just never held it. You know what I mean? And I regret that. I have some Bitcoin, but it's nowhere near what I wish I did, what I should have. Real quick, so we could recap. When did you buy Bitcoin? Where was it at?
So I don't remember the price of Bitcoin. The first time I wasn't actually like. You said like I was like first on it. No, I had some hesitation just like anybody else. It was, I don't know, 2014. I was at a tech conference in Miami, and I put like $1 into a Bitcoin ATM machine. The company I think is still around. It's called BitStop. So my first Bitcoin purchase was actually through an ATM machine for $1. And I said to the guy, I'm like, you're just going to fucking steal my money. He was like, put $10 in, put 100 in. I was like, nah. It's like, just let me just put $1 in just to play around with the technology. If I had put $100 in at that time, yeah, it would be, yeah. But so like a lot of people, even today, it was confusing. I didn't really understand it, but now there's a lot more information. There's a lot more PR. And like you said, like if you're not into Bitcoin right now, like what's the problem here? Like what don't you understand about it? And hopefully I can help people understand it a little bit more on this podcast. If they don't know, I'm not going to make fun of them. You know? If they want to be broke, then that's on them.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, as time went on, I understood the importance of what Bitcoin will be with time.
Right.
And I think what made me start to really believe in it is I started to see evil around the government. I started to see this is around the pandemic time. And it was the first time in my life where I started to not trust the government. And that happened around after the pandemic, around 2021. And I started seeing what, the media outlets were all pushing a same narrative, the same agenda. I started seeing, the left, for the most part, Democrats. I was a Democrat. They completely changed into a whole, they're not the Democrats we grew up with. So, we're going to get political on this podcast. If it bothers you people, I'm sorry. So this was my first time actually voting Republican because I just saw how.
Mine too.
Your first time voting?
First time?
Yeah, bro. I voted Barack twice and Biden, and I regret the Biden vote, but I went, I don't think I'll ever go back to that side because I see they're a system. They're not really a person that's running. It's a system that has an agenda, like a global agenda. So when I started to realize that, I started to be like, okay, if they could just print money whenever they fucking want, bro. And I remember you telling me this, bro. In the last podcast, you're telling me, inflation, and I already knew what it was, but I never really dove into it like that. And then the government started printing all this money, and I was like, damn, eggs are fucking 3 times the price or whatever it is. And as time went on, I really started to understand how important a deregulated currency is that never existed. Every currency, whether it's the dollar, the yen, whatever country's currency, it's regulated by their government. So this is the first currency that existed that, cannot be regulated by a government. And as people start to see the tyranny that can so easily can take us over, people are more bullish and more interested in a deregulated currency, which is Bitcoin. There's other coins, but Bitcoin is the main one. And people are becoming believers, bro. It's at 90,000 right now. How are you feeling right now?
Well, let me unpack a lot of what you just said because you just went a lot of different things that I can touch on. First of all, this is the first time that I've voted Republican. Also, as you probably know, I'm originally from New Jersey, New York, heavy Democratic, like liberal cesspool. Yeah, exactly. And for many years, I always felt like and I don't want to get too political on this podcast because it'll bore the shit out of people, but I always felt like, but I feel like voters like you and I swayed the election.
Because it's not political. Like, I feel like the things I was voting on were not political things. They were like moral, ideological things. You know what I mean?
So it's like, yeah. So, I used to vote on what candidate I felt I was more like. Were they likable? I felt like, and this was a very big shift for me this election, and I've changed my philosophy over the last 4 or 5 years since really getting into the crypto space and hanging out with libertarians, which I really consider myself a libertarian, not a Republican or a Democrat, independent, libertarian, whatever the fuck. I thought that the Democrats were for the working class, and I felt like the Democrats cared about middle class America, lower class America, for lack of a better term.
That's what they ran on throughout our whole history. My dad's still a lifelong Democrat, who's the working guy. But I try to explain to even him those things. It flipped.
For me, the party that shows the most amount of support for the working class are the government that's pro-business. And that is not the Democratic Party. The Republican Party is pro-business. They believe in small governments, like less government control. The Democrats want to control everyone, want to control everything.
They want to add more regulations, more layers to get through.
There's this person overseeing that person. There's the head of this, the head of that, the head of this. And the Republicans are kind of like, fuck it, let it fly. We'll figure it out.
Right.
And I kind of like that. That's kind of like the Bitcoin philosophy of democratization and decentralization. And that's, obviously take a look at, Kamala Harris had the opportunity to speak at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville and basically declined, and Trump went there and just fucking crushed it.
Wow.
Right? And it was like, people don't realize, fun statistic, 1 in 6 people in America, 1/6 of the population, which is 50 million people, own cryptocurrency in America. Those 50 million people swayed the election. Crypto swayed the election this year. 100%. If you take a look at the swing states and you take a look at how many crypto voters are in those states, where do you think those crypto voters in those states voted for, even if they were Democratic?
That's an interesting
They voted
take.
for their
I haven't heard that,
they
bro.
voted for their pockets, man. They voted Republican, like me. Not that Florida's a swing state,
Right.
but this year I cared more about myself and more about my financial well-being than any other issue, any other. Did I like the candidate? Whether I like Trump or not, that doesn't matter.
Right.
Well, I certainly didn't really like Kamala,
Right.
but I cared about my pockets and I cared about what president is going to what is going to be pro-business and better for my pockets. And then I carry a lot of guns on it. I protect my family. I protect what I got. If I have to do something that the government doesn't allow, I'll go out of the country to do it when it comes to women's stuff. It's just, I cared about my pocket. I care about the whole, we have to care about money. I fucking love money. I hope you love money, but not in a way that and this is a book I read, not in a way that it like possesses you or controls you, but you have to love and respect the money that you make. You have to treasure the money that you make, and you have to figure out how to make more money and how to grow your net worth. Because unfortunately, or fortunately, this whole country is based upon money.
And money's freedom at the end of the day. So that's what.
Correct.
You know
That's
what
what I care about.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me about where you're at with Bitcoin now, man. Do you think that because Trump, is really a Bitcoin guy, and it makes sense, right? Because if you're an entrepreneurial person, you want your company and you want your money to have minimal regulations, if anything, no regulations, but that's kind of hard. But we got money that's not regulated. And it makes sense that Trump is supporting that because, like it's weird. Someone in government is supporting a currency that's like anti-government, which is a real good thing for me. You know what I mean? What do you see in the future? Because I'm starting to see that this is going to be the currency. It probably already is the global currency, but
not necessarily a currency, more of a store of value. But let me talk about what I think the ramifications are of a Trump presidency, which we're going to experience obviously in for the next 4 years, right? Starting in 2025. And I kind of hinted this on the last podcast that we did many years ago, which is my thinking. It's called Bitcoin thinking. And what that means is that I myself, and I mentioned this on my podcast, I don't value the US dollar anymore. I value my net worth in Bitcoin. So what I did back then was I essentially, all the money that I made, I'm a real estate agent, as you know. I'm the biggest crypto real estate agent in America.
Talk about it.
I sold over $20 million in property using my crypto leverage strategy, which we can get into, but that doesn't really matter. Wow. All the money that I make, and that's like, not to brag, that's about $600,000 I made over that in real estate in the last few years in commission. And all that money outside of the money that I use for, my payment, my overhead of living, my credit card payments, I buy Bitcoin with it. So I have the least, and this is what I said on your podcast last time. I know I take all of my net worth, all of my liquid cash, and I buy Bitcoin with it. And I try to get as much money out of the banks as possible because, like I said last time, when you put your money in the bank, you do not own that money. I know it's a crazy. That's why when you go into the bank to try to take out, I tried to take out like $100,000 one time. Humble brag. I tried to take out $100,000 one time, which is not a lot of money anymore. But and the bank said, well, what are you using the money for? What are you doing with it? And I had to verify what I'm using the money for. I'm like, it's my fucking money.
Yeah.
And then they didn't have the money, and then I had to make an appointment because they were bringing in the Brinks truck. Not that $100,000 is a lot of money, but they literally had to bring a Brinks truck in. A security guard walked my $100,000 of cash into me and gave it to me. Right. After this whole fucking process that took like 3 days, and I was so. That's when I realized, holy shit, we don't really own our money. The government works off of what's called fractional banking. So for every, and I mentioned this again, for every dollar that we give the banks, they lend it out 10 times. So so that $100,000 to them is $1 million on their books, 10 times. Now there's no reserve. So now they can actually, it's like they could just fucking print it.
Right.
And what happened during COVID was awful for a lot of reasons, but we printed 1/3 of the amount of dollars in circulation right now since COVID.
Right.
1/3 of our money supply was generated.
Right. So the average person listening, what does that do to a currency when you make more of it? The value of it goes down, inflation goes up, and the cost of everything goes up.
And it took us 9 months to a year to realize that. When you just said I went to the Sprouts today, bought like one bag of groceries. It was $50. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yeah, bro.
So it's crazy out there, right? You were just telling me how the clubs are starting to die. People aren't throwing the money. They're spending $500 on liquor. Unless I come, then I'll spend $500. Right. But people aren't going out there spending money like that.
Right.
Why is that?
So how are you process? Because you say you look at crypto as a stored value, and I agree with that. for me, I guess I hate to put crypto still in the family I put with stocks. Do you put those things?
No, not at all. Crypto or Bitcoin is in the family of gold. Gold is a store of value.
Okay.
The U.S. monetary system used to be based on gold, and then we came off of the gold standard, I think, in 1973 because Richard Nixon needed money for the Vietnam War. At the end of the day, the real reason that we're in all this trouble is because our money is going for various wars. I don't want to get all that deep into it.
No, that's
but
real.
But it started off coming off the gold standard. So Nixon needed money to fund the Vietnam War, and we didn't have enough money. So he said, well, let's get off the gold standard because back then you have to back the gold was backed to 1-to-1 to the dollar, right? For every dollar you had, there was a dollar worth of gold in the U.S. Treasury. Now they said, well, we can't do that. So let's just start printing our own money and printing it out of thin air. And what supports our banking system, the number one thing that supports our banking system, which the banks make money off of what? Lending and interest, is real estate. That's why real estate in Miami has just, for various reasons, I mean, there's a supply shortage here, but it has gone up in value.
Right.
Guess what? The rest of the country isn't doing so well with real estate. Miami is doing okay.
Right.
But the rest of the country is not.
How do you so what I was going to get at is how do you conceptualize, for me, it's like, okay, you know, my net worth is in, you know, like I'll probably keep 15 to 20% of my net worth in stocks. Like where I'm at right now is how much of my net worth should I put into crypto? Because like you're saying, you don't want to use banks anymore and you don't want to have a lot of money in the bank. So it's like, are we at a space right now to where do you want your net worth, your crypto, your net worth to be like equal to crypto, like crypto to the banks? Like where are we at with that?
So I obviously can't give financial advice, but I'll tell you what the best performing stock in the world has done over the last 2 years. It's called MicroStrategy by a gentleman named Michael Saylor. So again, he's part of the whole Bitcoin thinking philosophy. He's one of like the thought leaders of the Bitcoin thinking movement, as is this guy, Simon Dixon. You should follow Simon Dixon on all of his platforms. And he does a Friday thing called Bitcoin Hard Talk, where I actually get a lot of my information from as it relates to banks, the economy, Bitcoin, and where everything is heading on a macro level. He is a multi-billion-dollar company, a public trading company. I think they're a security software company. All of the money that they make in profit that he's not using for operation, he bought Bitcoin with it. And he did that a couple of years ago. Now, not to get too deep, but back then they didn't have a Bitcoin ETF. So companies or investment funds or pension funds that wanted to buy Bitcoin couldn't, because there was a lot of security risk to a pension fund custodying their own Bitcoin. If I buy $100 million, if I'm a pension fund and I buy $100 million of Bitcoin and someone hacks my wallet, steals my Bitcoin, well, I just lost $100 million.
Right.
I'm a fiduciary to these investors' money and I just lost it. And what Michael Saylor did was he goes, okay, I'll basically be a Bitcoin proxy as a public stock. I will buy Bitcoin. I will hold that because I don't believe in dollars. Dollars are inflating. I'm losing money. My dollars are going down in value every year. My purchasing power is going down. So to combat that, I'm going to buy Bitcoin. And if at the very least, I just keep up with inflation, I've made 7% a year. I haven't lost 7% a year, whatever inflation is. Well, obviously, what has Bitcoin done? It's gone up 50, 60%, essentially a year. And his stock has outperformed every stock on the public markets. He made like 400% return last year, like 300% return this year. So every time his company makes money, he buys Bitcoin with it, and he's made $17 billion of it in a few years. $17 billion. Wow.
So, let's say hypothetically, someone has a net worth of $100,000 just in cash. Let's say they have $100,000 in cash.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with them having half of that money in the bank and half of that money in Bitcoin?
Again, I don't have a Wall Street background. I'm not a certified financial planner. I have 95% of my net worth in Bitcoin. So, and I have it in different cold storage wallets, meaning I self-custody it. I don't leave my Bitcoin on exchanges. And I have it.
I want to get into that too, by the way, E.
I have it diversified across different wallets, and I have those wallets stashed in places that I will never tell anyone.
Right, and your head, like you have them in different wallets, so they're hedged. Like if God forbid something happens, you don't have all your money in one place.
Correct.
I want to talk about the exchanges, man, because I have my crypto in exchanges.
Yeah.
And for the people that don't know, exchanges are you can carry your Bitcoin through a middleman company exchange like a Robinhood or a Coinbase, or you can have your Bitcoin on a physical. I mean, it's not physical, but it is the physical version. It's on a key, like your own. If you want to explain that, E, to people.
Why would you ever hold your Bitcoin? Someone actually emailed my sister.
I know.
Why would you ever have your Bitcoin on Robinhood? What happened with the whole what was that GameStop stocks?
Right.
Remember when the average Joe, the average retail trader like you and I were buying GameStop because of Wall Street Bets was promoting GameStop and people were buying GameStop, even though all the fundamentals behind GameStop said that company should basically be in bankrupt right now. There are people the crowd of people got together and said, no, we don't want this company to fail. And they basically pumped GameStop through this Discord channel. And the stock was going so fucking crazy and so high that Robinhood had to freeze people from trading it.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that. Like
they make their money off of retail traders, and the retail traders were winning. Basically, all the shorts were getting destroyed. All the shorts were getting destroyed on Wall Street, and people were losing billions of dollars. And Robinhood, who is like owned by BlackRock or Blackstone or one of the blacks, was like, they made the call to. There's a whole documentary on Netflix about it. They basically called Robinhood and said, "Stop the trading. We're getting destroyed. This is wrong."
Right.
In the open markets, in the public markets, you're not supposed to.
Yeah, no, that was a red flag. That was a big.
So don't keep your Bitcoin on Robinhood. And this is what could happen when you keep it on any type of centralized platform, whether it be Coinbase or Binance or anyone that has custody of your crypto. It's like putting it into a bank. Like, I don't trust my money in a bank. I don't trust my crypto on. I have a few $1,000s, a little more than I have like tens of thousands of dollars on certain exchanges, but that's because I'm trading like a fucking lunatic. But my net worth, no, that's stored on cold storage. Yeah.
Man, I'm guilty, and I think the only reason is just because of convenience. It's very easy to buy, sell, and
that's why people buy on Robinhood. It's convenient.
Right.
It's not smart.
Right. No. I like the tough love. I'm not, bro. I'm the type of guy that bro. I don't care about my feelings. Tell me the truth, bro. I need to know. You know. So, I mean, do you think we can get to a place in the world where everyone is like Bitcoin is the main currency and people are just sending it through the phone back and forth, like to buy things?
Yeah. Well, I think it's possible, but no one's. Listen, like I said, in real estate, I have my customers who are worth 40, 50, some hundreds of millions of dollars in Bitcoin. They were really early, right? They don't want to spend Bitcoin for multiple reasons on real estate. They have it. They don't want to spend it. Number one, they believe it's going to go up more than property and faster than property. And so to them, it's their biggest asset, more than property, more than their $10, $20 million homes. So they leverage it. They borrow against it to buy property. And when you borrow against something, you avoid capital gains tax. So, and now you also keep that first asset. So they leverage one asset, they leverage crypto, which they think is their most valuable asset, to buy property, which is another hopefully appreciating asset. So they leverage the two assets and they avoid capital gains tax. Because if they bought Bitcoin, and many of them did at $1, and now it's $90,000, they're paying tax on $89,999 gain, and they're paying probably a 15% tax on that. So now that house that they're buying for $10 million is costing them, I don't know the math in my head, that is costing them like $12 million because they have to pay $2 million in taxes. So they don't want to do that. So they borrow against it. So what I'm basically getting at is the velocity of Bitcoin is so high right now, and the price fluctuation. I mean, like I said, it just gained 30% since Trump won like 10 days ago. Yeah. Like who? Insane. If someone used Bitcoin to buy a house 10 days ago, they just lost 30. If someone just bought a $10 million house 10 days ago in Bitcoin, they just lost $3 million of price appreciation. So until the price of Bitcoin stabilizes, and I don't know if we're going to see that, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be used as a method of payment. There are other currencies that are better suited as method of payments. Right now, it's a store of value. You want Bitcoin because it's going to go up more than gold, ideally, faster than gold. And this is what's being proposed in the government right now. Right. So let's get into the Trump stuff because this is big.
Real quick though, before you get into it. Sure. If you have your is it a key or wallet? You have your crypto in a wallet. Sure. What happens, like Robin, you could just buy it. So what happens if you want to exchange that and get with US dollars and kind of cash some of that out? What would you do? Yeah, well, you have to go to an exchange that lets you go from crypto back into fiat or US dollars. Okay. And in America, we really have like Coinbase and Gemini are like the two exchanges that you can take your Bitcoin, send it to those exchanges, and then do the sell back into dollars, and which is because those exchanges are connected to your bank account. Okay. So if you don't have a problem using Coinbase if you gotta you're not gonna sell it, but if you had to, you're cool with just using them to get your money instantly. Put it on the thing, sell it, be done with it. I don't hold it there. Okay. No. So now Trump, pro crypto guy. All the crypto has gone crazy. I made a good amount of money on Doge. Yeah. I'm a big Doge guy, bro. If Elon Musk is high up and he's a funny guy who just likes, coincidence and things, the whole what is it? Division of Government Efficiency stands for Doge. Yeah. So he really has fun with it, Yeah. And I could see him putting his money in there too. so how do you make out the whole Trump? He's putting together the Avengers. We can get into that later. But how do you Trump in crypto? Where are you at with it?
So there's things that Trump is doing in his policy, which is why, or promise in his policy, which is essentially why crypto has went up 30-something% in 10 days, which is kind of unprecedented. The first thing, he's freeing Ross Ulbricht. Ross Ulbricht, as you may or may not know, started Silk Road. Silk Road was an online dark web platform.
I remember that.
It's there. You can watch the documentary on Netflix. The family is friends of mine. I've never met Ross yet, but when he's freed, I will meet him. You know, people were doing bad things on Silk Road. They were buying drugs. They were buying all types of weapons and just bad stuff. But Ross was just a software developer who developed a platform, a peer-to-peer exchange platform. And the method of currency on this platform many, many years ago was cryptocurrency, was Bitcoin. So people were trading or using Bitcoin to buy nefarious things, for lack of illegal. They were doing illegal shit, right? And this guy is serving 2 life sentences in jail for creating this platform. When the FBI or the CIA or whoever raided his house and arrested him, there was no drugs on him. There were no weapons on him. This guy is like, he's just a software developer.
He just created a software that evil people took advantage of and turned it into an evil thing. Yeah,
it's like, I mean, I liken it to like a pawn shop, you know? I mean, stuff that pawn shops are selling, do we really think that, you know, a lot of the stuff that pawn shops are selling, where do you think that stuff is coming from, right? Yeah. So I go to a pawn shop, I buy a gun, I kill someone with it, the pawn shop is getting in trouble? No.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, you know? Yeah. So it was just, the government just hated Bitcoin. They didn't want anything to do, they didn't want anything to do with cryptocurrency back then. And so by freeing Ross, he's a strong libertarian, started the whole crypto Bitcoin movement. By freeing, you know, again, libertarians believe in like no taxes or zero taxes or no taxes, small government control. They don't believe in the Federal Reserve. A lot of things that I believe in. He signaled to the market like, I'm freeing Ross. This is for the libertarians. This is for the crypto community, and he got like the entire libertarian vote. So Trump's not an idiot. He does things to get votes too. Right. We just need to make sure that he comes through with his campaign promise, which he said like dozens of times on his campaign trail, including at the Bitcoin conference. I think he maybe said it on like election night. So that's one, but that doesn't mean that our pockets are getting fatter because he's freeing Ross. So the family's a friend of mine, so emotionally I'm tied to that statement. But the biggest thing that he's doing, and this was proposed by Senator Cynthia Lummis, who's a Bitcoiner, is the U.S. government is gonna buy Bitcoin and hold it as a national, as a reserve asset. The way that we hold gold as a reserve asset, we're gonna hold Bitcoin. And he said, or the proposal is that he's gonna buy 1 million Bitcoin. There's only 21 million in circulation. Really, there's like 18 million because 3 million are lost. Right. He's gonna buy 1 million Bitcoin over the course of 5 years. The price of Bitcoin is $90,000 right now. So if the price just stays at what it is now, and it won't, it will fluctuate, it'll go down, it'll go up, and the U.S. government's not going to buy 1 million Bitcoin this year. They're going to buy it over the course of 5 years, prices and all that. If they bought it now, the price of Bitcoin would be 100 million. Right. That's just at today's rates. That's what, $90 billion buy? Yeah. $9 billion. It's $9 billion. So the government's basically right today saying we're going to go buy $9 billion of cryptocurrency, of Bitcoin. There's other proposals, like Cynthia Lummis is saying, well, let's sell, in addition to that, or the way that we're going to do that is we're going to sell our gold reserve. So we're going to start to sell some of our gold to buy Bitcoin. That's the thinking that people are having now. It's like gold was yesterday's store of value, or we'll have some gold, we'll hedge gold, right, and we'll also buy Bitcoin. The U.S. government is sitting on. The U.S. government is like, I don't know, the 10th largest holder of Bitcoin, and I can Google this. It's like the 10th largest holder of Bitcoin right now in the world. If you look at the crypto wallet, the Bitcoin wallet, the U.S. government is like number 10. Why? Because from all this crime and all this stuff, they seize this asset from people.
You can do that? Look at who owns the top.
Sure. Yeah, just go on the Bitcoin ledger. Yeah, you don't know the person's name who owns the wallet, but there are platforms out there that can basically track movements and basically say, okay, that's the U.S. government, you know. Gotcha. Or if the U.S. government makes a statement like, hey, we just moved 6 million Bitcoin today, like you can go, you can track that. Germany just did this. So Germany had seized a bunch of Bitcoin too, and they sold Bitcoin right before Trump got elected at like $50,000. Well, the price went up 30. So the German government, I don't know, they lost like 100 or 200 million. It may be more than that. Yeah. My numbers are all fucked up today. Yeah. But they lost a lot of money. Right. Because they were just like, let's just sell all of our Bitcoin. And then here you have like genius Cynthia Lummis saying, let's not sell our Bitcoin. Let's hold that as a reserve asset like gold. In fact, let's sell gold and buy more. Let's buy a million Bitcoin at $90,000 each, and let's hold that. That's how much people believe in it. Now, what does that do? The U.S., no surprise here, the U.S. dollar is the most powerful currency in the world. The U.S. leads the world outside of like North Korea, Syria, Russia, leads the world in economic policy. So other countries, other democratic countries, are going to follow what the U.S. is doing, like South Korea or Japan or Germany or other large countries. Well, maybe Germany, maybe Germany's going to reflect on their mistake. Poland just announced that I just read something about Poland is now looking into buying Bitcoin as a store of value, because if the U.S. government front runs, meaning gets ahead of everybody else and does it, that means that all the other governments that buy Bitcoin are going to be buying it at a higher price than the U.S. Now, when that happens, and when that happens, what do you think the price of Bitcoin is going to do? And by the way, I can't guarantee that's going to happen because it's a proposal.
Yeah.
I think it's going to happen in the middle of next year, if not sooner. Like once Trump is in, it's going to be like it's going to be an announcement. Like right now, it's proposed. He hasn't said we're going to do this, and he certainly hasn't put. I mean, he's not the president yet.
Right.
But once that happens, forget about it. And here's the other thing: MicroStrategy. So they're a public company. They're not a government, although they're the size of some governments. They have so much money. They're talking to other large Fortune 500 companies to follow their strategy. And the next company they're talking to is Microsoft, which is like the second largest, third largest company in the world.
Yeah.
So you have governments that are going to be buying Bitcoin as a store of value, and you have publicly traded companies that are going to be taking their dollars that they're losing money on every single year because it's going down in value, and they're going to be buying Bitcoin with it. The price of Bitcoin for average guys like us is going to be like, to buy one Bitcoin, we're not going to be able to afford it probably in 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
So I'm not financial advice. I'm accumulating as much as I can right now, which I've been doing for years.
So you're a realtor as well. So are you? Like I said, again, this isn't financial advice, but like, buy a house or put it in Bitcoin. You're.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
That to me is going to be a huge. I hate saying huge. That question is really has been on the top of my mind recently. A bunch of realtors has asked me about this. I believe that I'm going to be getting interviewed in the near future with some of the larger realtor trade magazines about this exact topic. If I was to buy a $800,000 house right now at a 7% interest rate, that's $56,000 a year of just interest that I'm paying.
Exactly.
Me personally, I'm a real estate agent. I'm a realtor, a licensed realtor.
Right.
It may be smarter for me to take that $56,000 that I'm paying in interest, and instead of hoping that my property goes up 7 or 8% a year, and like I'm basically like the equity value, that 800, what did I say, 800,000. Right. I'm hoping that in a year that $800,000 home is worth $850,000, but I've just paid $56,000 of interest into the bank, so I'm basically breaking even. Right. Well, what do you think that $56,000 of Bitcoin is going to be worth in a year? Especially if what I'm saying comes to fruition, which is governments buying Bitcoin as a national reserve, as a reserve currency or as a reserve asset, and then once public companies like MicroStrategy and others, a lot of people are going to be following MicroStrategy. A lot. I mean, it's the best performing. I mean, the guy's a fucking genius. Right. I mean, he says to the biggest companies in the world what I said on your podcast last time, which is, I don't believe in the U.S. dollar anymore. I value my net worth in Bitcoin, and I'm going to show you how much I believe in this. That I'm going to take my multi-billion-dollar publicly traded company, and I'm going to take all of our profits, and buy Bitcoin with it.
There's football players, bro, who took all their salaries in Bitcoin. I forgot his name.
Russell Okung.
Yeah, he's not even in the NFL anymore.
Odell Beckham took his salary, his Rams salary in Bitcoin. Yeah,
crazy. So. Is that, I mean, we can get into a little realtor talk right now, but like the housing market, how do you feel about that? I mean, like you said, maybe it might be better for our generation to put our money in Bitcoin or in other cryptocurrencies. But as far as the housing market now, I'm starting to make a case for maybe it might be good to be a renter. I mean, where are you at with it right now?
Well, let me say this. The first thing that you should always put your money on is yourself. Mm-hmm. Most powerful person in anyone's world should be themselves. You have to believe in yourself, period. Otherwise, you're just going to be following what everyone else tells you.
You basically mean invest into how you're going to increase your income. Like invest in...
you have to believe that you are capable of making the right decisions for you. For me, it may be buying Bitcoin. For you, you may say, I feel safer buying real estate
or a podcast studio, or whatever you feel is like
correct.
Right.
Or a podcast studio, or investing into your whatever it is that you're going to get the best benefit on personally. Right. I may make more money than you in crypto. You may make more money than me in real estate, but I did for what I felt was right for me at the time. And it doesn't matter who makes more than the other person. It just is the person fulfilled in their life spiritually and emotionally. I could get all deep about that. Right. So that's my opinion. So you do what you feel comfortable doing. But when I take a look at this, and again, every real estate market is different. So I'm not going to talk about anything else other than the South Florida market, which is where I'm licensed. We have a crazy, and I'm not just going to give this realtor bullshit talk. We have this crazy supply shortage that we've never seen historically in America, in Miami, which is that there's more people that want to come here and buy here than properties that we have to sell, single family homes. There's a crisis happening with condos that are over 30 years old, where you can't basically give them away right now because of things that are happening.
All the assessments is scary to have an HOA right now. But then all these guys during the pandemic, all these hedge funds in New York, they got super bullish on Miami. They overbuilt, and that didn't sustain itself. So there's the people that are building, the previous development, they didn't build enough 4 or 5 bedroom condos, because what happened is that now there's no single families homes, and these multi-millionaires that are coming from Chicago and San Francisco, New York, a lot of whom are my clients, are moving their families here, because this is no longer just a vacation paradise, which it still is. People are coming here because of economic prosperity and jobs and politics
and politics, and a lot of pro-business, which is political. It's a mindset. The mayor's done a fantastic job. Shout out to Suarez, Mayor Suarez.
Fix the roads, bro.
El Jefe. I call him El Jefe when I
fix the roads, and we need better public transportation. I love you, but you like the limelight too much.
Better public transportation, yeah.
We need to extend this train, man. We need to get the roads are terrible.
What train? The Bright Line?
Huh?
Suicide line?
No, like the whole Metro mover. It needs to go to Wynwood. We need to get better public transportation in that aspect and fix the roads. I feel like I'm in Jurassic Park when I drive home. You know, I like I'm not mad at him. My only critique is he just seems to like the limelight too much. He's too handle the basics. Stop trying to be a movie star.
Well, yeah, but remember, being a mayor, at least as he's proven, is also a big act in marketing, right? You got to market yourself to market your city, and that's that's why people have taken to him. There's other mayors, whether you're Democrat or Republican, that are doing good jobs also, but they don't. Right. They're not. Anyways. What the fuck was real estate?
Renting versus buying.
No, well, the developers, they didn't build enough 4 and 5 bedrooms. So now that large families from New York, San Francisco, LA are coming here, and there's no single family homes. They're looking for 4 and 5 bedroom condos, and there's none on the market. So the builders are building the product, but that product won't be here for like 3 to 5 years. And quite frankly, a lot of the pre-construction property right now, a lot of it is sold. I mean, 11 like that, like I wish I bought an 11. Like that's. Everyone bought in 11. It's going to be like,
right.
Yeah, you know why. But that's
I think
those are
small. Those are small units.
Well, right. I mean,
right.
I'm going from 4 to 5 bedrooms to 11 and stuff like that. Right. But people want to be in that. It's going to be an exciting. Be an exciting building. It's going to be like adult college. Yeah. But anyway, here's the thing. Capitalization rates for multifamilies properties, which has historically been a great asset to buy, are historically low right now. I mean, the only people who are really making money on multifamily homes are those that are just buying it in cash. They don't have a mortgage payment. They don't have a note. So they're not worried about their interest being 8%, 7 to 9%. So if their cap rates are 4 or 5%, if they're making 4 or 5% on their money, they're okay with that. But if you're taking a note out at 7 or 8% and your cap rate is 5%, that means you're losing. You don't have cash flow coming in. So all you're hoping for is for that property to appreciate in value. But we've seen a large appreciation of value over the last 3 or 4 years. That's not going to be replicated. Like we're not going to jump 20 or 30% year over year. Like that's just not going to happen. In fact, I thought it shows how smart I am. I obviously thought, and anyone who tells you otherwise is completely lying. Who thought that COVID was going to be a catalyst for the real estate market and the appreciation of the real estate market in Miami?
Yeah.
I sold my best friend a home, and like 2 weeks later, the COVID thing happened, and he was like literally practically crying on my shoulder because he was like, I'm the stupidest guy. I'm going to get fucking destroyed. And you know what? I said, let's just go to the bar. Like I couldn't even, I was like, I feel so
those
bad.
black swan events happen. Like,
I was like, fucking A. Like I didn't even charge him commit. I was like, I didn't even charge, like, he's my best friend, like my brother. I'm like, And I was like, I'm sorry, man, you're right. I was like, I mean, no, how did I, like, not my, like, he doesn't blame me on me. He was just like, oh my God, my whole family, I'm going to destroy my family. His house is double the price right now.
Wow. Yeah.
By the way, guess what he did? He took a loan out and he bought Bitcoin.
Bitcoin with it.
Yeah.
Damn. Yo, I hate to like keep giving you these questions that seem like they're like financial advisory questions.
Well,
but
I can state my opinion.
But I mean, so like there's a lot of young kids right now and they're gonna grow up in a different world than we did. Like, you know, taking our parents' advice and, you know, buying the house and like going that route.
First of all, you're younger than me, so you're way younger than me.
Right.
We're generational.
Right, but even I feel like the middle child, at least now. I have OGs older than me that I respect, and there's some young kids that look up to me. But say you have a kid who say you have a 28-year-old and they saved up $50K, and they have an opportunity to buy their first house. You know, they got $50K, they could buy a $350, $400 house, whatever it is, or they could put it in Bitcoin. Like, well, what do we tell them now? You know, like, what do we, you know, because before I feel like the only option was to buy the house. Like, that was like the best move. But now we're faced with these other decisions, and maybe it's better to rent and put it in Bitcoin. Maybe it's not better to buy it. Like, where are you with it?
Well, the option that I give my clients, it doesn't matter if they have 50,000 or 50 million, like my clients, is buy Bitcoin, not Doge. Although Doge is obviously done well. I lost about 20 grand yesterday doing a long in Doge because I thought it was going to go up, and I bought it at 44 cents, and then it was 28. But it's the only
back
time
up at like 40.
It's the only time I ever bought Doge, and I fucking got destroyed. But my business partner just bought Doge the other day, and he's up.
You just
like
gotta wait for
18%.
Elon to tweet something with Doge,
and
it goes up.
All that, not financially. All that's happening. Buy Bitcoin. Borrow against it at 50% loan to value. So if you have 50,000 in Bitcoin, go get a loan for 25 grand. You can get that in 24 hours. The other company's going to, the lender, which is a non-FDIC insured bank, is going to custody your crypto for you, your Bitcoin for you. You'll have $25,000 cash in your bank that you can use as a down payment to buy a property. And the Bitcoin is sitting there, and you're paying the lender probably 9 to 12%. So it's higher than a regular conventional loan or even a non-QM loan. But you're hoping that your Bitcoin that's going there is appreciating at faster than 9 to 12%, which historically it has. Right. Last week, it's gone up 30%, right? So now you have hopefully that Bitcoin appreciating in value, and that appreciation can pay off the loan. And then once you pay off the loan, you get your Bitcoin back at whatever the price is. So if I give 2 Bitcoin today, which is like 180,000, if I give 2 Bitcoin today, when I pay my loan back, I get my Bitcoin back at whatever the price is. So if Bitcoin is $500,000 each, I get $1 million of Bitcoin back, and I still have my house, which hopefully is also going up in value. If that young person, like you said, feels like they need to own property for whatever reason, but again, you're paying 9% for that loan. If you're buying a $500,000 house, that's $45,000 of interest. So now you have to hope that your property goes up, over 9% a year to get that appreciation, or your Bitcoin goes up over like 18%. Again, the math is all fuzzy. But it's a hedge strategy too, because if your property goes down in value, but your Bitcoin goes up in value, hey, smart, because you didn't just use cash to buy the property. You have another asset that's working for you. That's what Trump and all. That's what every smart real estate. Not real estate. This is what investors do. Trump or whoever has a building. They borrow against that building to buy another building. They avoid capital gains tax completely on whatever that building's gone up in value. Doesn't matter. They borrow against it. They take an equity loan against it. They buy another property. They take a loan against that. They buy another property. And this is all, they're paying no tax on the gains. Until they sell. Right. And when you're at a certain age, whatever, there's like, I don't want to get all that level, but the thinking is leverage, but you have to be smart with leverage. Leverage also kills America.
Yeah, because it's so bro. It's so easy to just say that strategy, right? Like the American strategy is buy a house, buy a property, borrow against it, then get another one, then get another one. But as soon as something goes wrong, you're royally fucked.
That's what happened in 07 and 08. It's dominoes. And by the way, going back to what you said when you realized like the whole Democratic Republican shift and how the America can just print dollars since COVID. Satoshi Nakamoto, who created this anonymous person who created the Bitcoin white paper, created the Bitcoin white paper after the 07-08 crash, which I was involved in. That's when I was making the most amount of money in my life. That's when Mims had This Is Why I'm Hot, #1 record in the world in 07. I was getting checks like a motherfucker. My phone, I was literally in my pool, in my house, just literally like I was like a fucking money printer. Like I had 15 machine guns, and like I couldn't even leave my house. Like I'm not even kidding. Like
you were Scarface.
No, I couldn't. Like my house was a fucking fortress. I had the hurricane shutters up. Like you couldn't come into my house when that was happening. Like I had my best friends coming and like security, like money was printing, right? And then what happened? You know, the housing crash happened, and my property lost 50% in value in like 6 months. And then Satoshi woke up and said, we got to come up with a new financial system. So that's when I really realized how fucked up shit was. And by the way, it's also shortly thereafter I became a real estate agent, because I said, you know, I blamed it on my realtor. I was like, you sold me the property, and like literally 6 months, the fucking world collapsed. Like you had to know this was coming. Like the numbers I just threw out about low inventory and this and that, like smart realtors know the numbers that are out there. Like I'm a numbers guy. Like just show me the, and then I really dissect the numbers. But I'm like, yo, you didn't tell me any of this shit. Like I'm getting my own real estate license so that I can help my family and friends out. And obviously, you know, I know a lot of celebrities. And at the time, I was like really heavy in the music industry. Bitcoin wasn't even Bitcoin wasn't even around then. I'm like, I need to provide a better service, because I'm from New York. I provide good service. I'm like, I got to provide the kind of service that I expected, because I don't ever want to see my family, friends, or associates in the same position that I was in 07, 08, making the most amount of money in my life. And then it was like gone like that when the housing market crashed, because I had all of my net worth in my property.
Damn, bro. So how? I mean, we could get more general with the political talk. Both of our first times voting for Trump.
Voted Republican.
Right. What else? Yeah. What else?
I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for I did, but I didn't vote for Trump. I voted on the policy.
Right.
And Kamala didn't show us policy.
Right. And for me, to extend off that, I voted for the people around him as well. I'm a big RFK guy. I like what he's going to do with the health. He's going to go really hit.
He was eating McDonald's on a fucking plane yesterday, and he just comes out. He's like, yeah, but it's the seed oils. Seed oils are bad. McDonald's is also bad.
Yeah. You know, right. But
by the way, I like RFK. I met him last year at the Bitcoin
buyer. So, but
by the way, you want to learn, if your audience wants to really forget what the hell I'm saying, if you really want to, there's no politician in the world that knows more about Bitcoin than RFK. So go watch Michael Saylor's talk about Bitcoin at the Bitcoin Summit. Just watch anything Michael Saylor says about Bitcoin on YouTube, and go watch RFK's talk at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville. Just watch, and then Trump. Watch what Trump said at the Bitcoin conference. Watch what RFK said at the Bitcoin conference, which is, to me, was more powerful than what Trump said. And then go watch what Michael Saylor said at the Bitcoin conference, which is more powerful than what either of them said. And you'll see where my philosophy comes from.
Yeah. What else are you excited about? Like, what other parts of, you know, just Trump being in office?
I mean, like I said, I'm a pro-business guy. I like pro-business entrepreneurial policies. I think that with the survival of the fittest survive. You know, there's been times in my life, like I just said, like I lost my home to foreclosure. I when we made $18 million with Mims's music. And we had a 50-50 deal with Capitol Records, and they stole all of our money for us. And I had to spend 8 or 9 years of my life, suing a record company for money that I fucking made. So fuck Capitol Records. I've been broke before, and but I've made things that I believe in myself. I do things that it's in my control. That I feel like I'm capable of achieving, and I just go out there and do it, whether I fail or not. I don't want to live with regrets. I don't remember where the hell I read this or saw this, but someone made a really good comment yesterday that's been resonating with me since I saw it, which is, can you look at your future self? Can you look at your future self and be proud and happy at your life at that given moment? And what that's basically saying is that when we all get old, time is the most valuable asset that we have. When we're sitting in that retirement community or in that home, and we're staring at those 4 walls and we're pissing and shitting on ourselves and on the floor, and we're looking out the window, can we say that when we were in our 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever age we are, that we did the most that we could at our age, and that we did everything that we wanted at that time period, so that when our future selves look back at us in our younger selves, that they could say, I lived a very fulfilling life. If I die tomorrow, I don't want to die. I've told my intimate family members and my friends that that my funeral is going to be a fucking party, because my life is fucking amazing.
Right.
I don't know if that answered your fucking question.
No, but bro. But it leaded me into. My bad, yo. I gotta be producer man and.
No, you're good. You gotta teach me how to do this. You gotta teach me how to do this.
Hold on. Boom, boom.
Mims and I are actually doing a podcast. That's why I was asking those questions before the show. We're doing a podcast called Mims, Make It Make Sense. So a lot of these things that you and I are talking about, we're gonna go really deep. Like I break down an entire like recording agreement, a royalty statement. I really go deep with a lot of the stuff.
That's the next. Damn, you had me going into what fulfillment is in life. I was about to go down that rabbit hole, living a fulfillment life, but that's too deep for this podcast. Maybe another show. But I mean, bro, like you said, you were a recovering music exec. There are so many music execs from labels. I'm sure you have friends. I have friends that have been laid off because, you know, record companies are becoming extinct, man. They're kind of just distributors now. Where are you at with the whole music industry now? Like how?
I'm so glad you said. It's a great question. Yeah, you know, shout out to my friends who lost their jobs in the music industry. This is something that I saw happening a very, very long time ago, and you know, all these executives and all these big shot executives and these big shot A&Rs, and these guys have an infrastructure and they have money. It's not their own money. Every artist that I've ever signed, I've spent my own money on. Talk about taking a shot. The odds of a success, you know, the odds of an artist being successful is like 1% of 1% of 1% of 1%.
Yeah.
And then you have people pouring money because they want to be famous and they want to be, I did this like time and time over again with multiple artists.
Right.
Like my hitting percentage is just like pretty fucking good, right? And I did this with my own pockets. And now you have these people at these labels that are flossing around. They want to be the artist, and they have this infrastructure and all this money. Man, if I had that stuff, they wouldn't be able to fucking touch me. Yeah. If I didn't have to put up my own money, they wouldn't. Yeah. Because I'm such a progressive thought leader. Even when it comes to like crypto and NFTs, and you know, I did Tory Lane's NFT, I did Doja Cat's NFT strategy, I did Biggie Smalls, the estate of Biggie Smalls. Rest in peace to the greatest rapper of all time. I did, Whitney Houston Estates NFT. I was a part of that whole strategy.
NFT thing. Damn, that's another topic. But I mean,
I don't even want to. I pioneered the whole music, and everyone will tell you, I pioneered the music NFT stuff. I was talking to labels about this stuff in like 2019 and 2020, and they were like throwing me out of their office. Like, what is this? Like Chinese? Like, what are you talking about? I was talking to them about social tokens and crypto, and they were just like, they didn't want anything to do. They didn't want anything to do with this stuff. And then I did $500,000 of sales with Tory Lane's NFT, and I had every label and CEO calling me like, "How did you do this?" Bro. Yeah, it's documented. What I say is true. You can, you can call Tory.
Right. I mean,
shout out to Tory.
How do you feel about just the landscape of the music industry, though, bro? Do you the old model, the traditional model is over?
Yeah, it's funny because the tradition. So you're right. Record labels used to be development houses. They're no longer development houses. They're like banks now, but they're becoming service providers. They're like they're becoming aggregators. So now they're doing services. Like if you're XYZ artist and you want to use our radio promotion staff, like pay us a fee. It's like they're becoming like service businesses, and they're licensing houses. You know, most of the music technology companies out there have to license the content that these major labels have, and that's where their real control is. Back in the day, it used to be distribution. They used to control the retail shops and the vinyl shops and the pressing plants. Well, that's been democratized. Now I can distribute this podcast or music as we're talking here in 5 seconds for $10.
Right.
So the labels lost that control, but they still have this catalog of music, this iconic library of music that other platforms need to build their businesses off of. So what these companies do is they go into these companies that are venture capital backed, they're investment backed, and they say, give us a piece of that money to license this content. And we're also getting equity in your company. So we're taking 3 to 5% or 3 to 6% of your company in equity because we want to get paid for the content.
Right.
And if you fail, we have your money. We took your money to license the content, and sayonara, we'll go on to the next tech company. But if you're successful, we want to participate in that upside too,
right.
Which is what's going on with like Spotify, which Universal, all the labels owned a piece of Spotify, but all the labels, I believe, divested their shares, meaning they sold their shares. The only company that's held on to their shares is the biggest company or the biggest distributor in music, which is Universal Music Group, because the other companies have shared the profits, so they say, with the artist, meaning when they sold Spotify stock, they shared some of those profits with the artist, which they weren't contractually obligated to. And Universal, I think, is being super greedy, and they don't want to share the profits of the stock. And maybe there's some tax strategy also. They haven't announced that they're going to. Universal hasn't announced that when they sell their Spotify shares that they're going to share that with the artist. Bunch of fuckheads.
Bro, it's crazy.
It's like, but without the artist and without that music, they wouldn't even have access to that Spotify stock.
If you were an artist today, do you think it's easier to be an artist today or with the traditional model?
No. Well,
Like, would you rather be an artist? I guess let me ask you: would you rather be an artist today in 2024, or would you rather have been an artist in 1999 trying to make it, not an established artist?
Well, that's an amazing question. It's easier to put out music today, but most of the music that gets put out today, no one listens to.
It's fast food.
And the people that they're what picks and shovels. You know what that analogy is? The gold rush picks and shovels. The people who made money during the gold rush weren't the people who were going to get the gold. They were the people who were selling the picks and shovels that you needed to go dig for the gold. You get what I'm saying with that? So that's what it's becoming. It's becoming a picks and shovels business. Everybody wants the gold. Everyone wants to be the musician, but the companies that are making money are the platforms that are giving these artists a chance to become
like selling
famous.
the dreams and reliving off that.
There you go.
That, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what it is in a lot of industries, though.
Yeah.
All these people. Now I have a course. I have a real estate course, but what I teach about crypto real estate, I've actually executed. And if people follow, then they're going to make money. All these course providers and all these people, they haven't really done fucking shit. All these Instagram, swipe up, swipe my nuts, swipe this up, swipe that up. It's like they haven't done shit. They're just trying to sell you a dream. If what they were doing was really successul, they wouldn't be selling it to you. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever they're selling, it's like, go do it. Like, you're gonna tell me how I can make $1 million? Get the fuck out. No,
bro, all that shit. No, the internet's a weird place right now, bro.
So by the way, so let me dial that back. There's some courses that are legitimate, but 90% of what I see, it's a fucking joke. It's like they're just trying to build their brand. They're trying to make money off you by selling you a dream.
Right.
And maybe if there's one person who really does everything that this whatever thing tells them to do, maybe they can also be successful also. But the odds are you're not going to be that successful.
And know what else bothers me too, bro? I feel like if you're going to do a business right now, you have to create content. And if you don't know how to create content, you better hire someone or get someone involved that knows how to create content before you even sell. You need eyes on you before you could sell something. My only thing right now is it feels like I'm a slave, or we're all just slaves to these algorithms. Like,
let's relate that to artists now. That's exactly, artists have to do all this stuff.
Right.
Back in the 90s, they didn't. They had a guy like me who would handle the business and the marketing and the promotion and deal with the labels. And back in the 90s, all the artists wanted to do was just play music. But now they got to be on all these they got to be on all these platforms. They got to do TikTok skits. They got to do marketing. And truthfully, most of these artists now, they don't got it. People think it's easy. Like you just said, I am so bad at social media. I mean, I'm verified on certain, I don't pay for check marks or anything like that. And I have I have like 4,000 people on Instagram. It's not a lot, but the people that follow me on Instagram are some of the most influential people in my life. And they're the most influential people across the business spectrums the music industry, crypto. Right. These are like very powerful people that follow me. I don't have 1 million. I don't shake my ass on OnlyFans. Right. I don't have 1 million followers, but the followers that I have, some of them are billion. Some of them are fucking, no, there's billionaires that follow me.
Bro,
and I follow,
yeah. The music thing is interesting, man. I feel like we're missing out on some of the best artists because so many good artists are like introverted people they're just geniuses. They don't want to be on TikTok. But they're not doing these things. So I feel like we're missing out on a lot of good music and a lot of good artists because of the model that we're forced to follow. Does that make sense?
Artists are like ideas. I have 10 ideas going through my head right now. Maybe one or two of them I will try to execute on. And it's like, you have to, out of sight, out of mind. Like, if you're an introverted artist and you don't know how to put out music and market and promote it, then you're going to be a great artist to your family.
Yeah.
You gotta get it. And the other thing is that, and Kanye said this, like, if you make music for everyone, you make music for no one. You only need 1,000 fans to make a good living in music. That's what people don't realize. You only need this 1,000 fan theory. If I have 1,000 fans that give me $1,000 a year, it's $1 million. Or let me dial. If I have 1,000 fans that give me $100 a year, it's $100,000.
Yeah, it's a career right there.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a better career than most musicians are making. Sure. Yeah. And you haven't sold yourself to the labels or anything like that. You don't have to deal with all the stress and that. You don't have to sue the record labels. You don't have to have 1,000,001 lawyers. Get 1,000 fans to give you $100, whether it be for t-shirts or merch or vinyl. I'll give you the greatest example. Currency, the rapper Currency.
Right.
Jet Life Currency. Yeah, shout out to Currency. I did his NFT shit too. When I was doing his NFT project, he told me, he goes, yo, E, I never ever sold my music. I didn't even know that about him. He's never sold his music, ever. Great, we're in the streaming era now, but before that, I mean, he's put out like 30-something albums or some crazy number. He's never sold his music. This is how he's made money in music. Built up a cult following of fans that love his music, and he sells them merchandise and shows. And he's a multi-millionaire from doing that.
He doesn't make money off his
music off music. I mean, I'm sure he gets streaming royalty. Yeah, right. Streaming royalty. But what he was saying, like back in the day when people were selling CDs and stuff,
right?
Which is when he was around. Like he didn't sell it. He was giving it away. In fact, one of the dopest things that Currency has done, which he utilized a file sharing platform. What the hell? Pirate Bay, which quite frankly, which is now Tron, which is now BitTorrent. He utilized BitTorrent technology. He utilized Pirate Bay, which to me was like the earliest blockchain, but that's a whole nother topic I won't get into. And what he was doing, he gave away his music on BitTorrent. He gave away like 6 songs. He said, you want the next 6 songs? Give me your email address. So he was giving away this music for free on BitTorrent platforms, which all the record labels and everyone hated, but it was gated and he got content information. Give me your cell number. If you want track 9, give me your cell number. If you want track 10, 11, 12, give me your email. And then he would, boom, here's my merch, here's my shows, here's my this, here's my that. And people loved the music so much and they just loved him that he was able to create this fan base. And now every time he does a merch drop, it like sells out like that. And the guy's a multi-millionaire from that. So people have to utilize music as a stepping stone to do other things and to think differently. I surround myself around people who think differently. If I surrounded myself around everyone who thought the same, I mean, it's kind of why I also changed my like political thesis and my political mindset. You always have to be learning, and you have to surround yourself around people who think differently, because then you start to think differently also. And the money forget the money. You as a person grow, and then when you grow, money opportunities just come to you. It's crazy the way it works. The law of attraction.
That's real, bro. What other type of things are you excited about for the future? It could be music related, crypto related, investment related. What type of things are you? What are you into nowadays?
So, okay. Well, again, we'll pull it all together. So, how much time we have, man? I don't want to just babble and bore
No, babble, bro. I would have been ending it if I thought you were babbling, but I think you're dropping knowledge, bro.
The funny thing is,
it's as long as you got, bro. I could stay here all night if you're spitting, bro. You're spitting right now.
The funny thing is, the last time we did this podcast, I said this is probably going to be the most boring podcast, but if people listen, they'll probably make the most amount of money. But I'm not like one of these I'm not twerking on OnlyFans.
This will be boring to those type of people. Boring to the dopamine people that would. But if you're into money and business and your future, this is where it's at.
There it is. So I'm going to drop some music stuff. So music publishing is how artists basically extend their careers. Artists live off their music publishing, because if they're too old to do shows anymore, they're not touring, or they're not a current artist, they're making money off of publishing, streaming royalties, synchronization royalties, licensing royalties.
You're publishing for This Is Why I'm Hot. Those checks are still hitting you?
Well,
Universal.
Well, actually, Sony is the main owner of that publishing. But yeah, the publishing checks come in. So, man, you threw me off guard on that.
My bad,
so,
bro.
No.
You're talking about publishing, and that's how artists make their money.
So, but now, and the way that, so there are big hedge funds, like less than maybe 10 funds in the world that are buying artist publishing. Now, historically, artists don't want to sell their publishing because it's how they create generational wealth for their family, or it's how they just even pay the bills, right? If they're not a big artist, they just need that $20,000 yearly check to come in to pay bills. And the way that funds used to look at publishing is they would take a look at the last 3 years. Every investor used a different algorithm, but pretty much it was like, we're going to take a look at the last 3 years. We can't take a look at the last 15 years because you made more money 15 years ago than you're doing now. So let's just take a look at the last 3 years. We kind of like average it out and we apply a multiple to it. So let's just say you made $10,000 on average each year for the last 3 years. We apply historically it's been like an 8 to 12 multiple on it, 8 to 12 times earnings on it. So if you're making $10,000, we're gonna offer you $80,000 8 times or 12 times, $120,000 in that 80 to 120 range, and we're gonna buy your publishing for the life. So now as an investor, you're basically getting 8 to 12 years, 8 to 12 times, 8 to 12 years of earnings up front. But I, as an investor, I'm looking at it 30 years down the line. Right. I'm looking at it like at year 13, now I have $10,000 of free cash flow coming in. And you can throw all these algorithms and cash on cash returns on it. And historically, it's been a very good investment for hedge funds. Well, what happened is a gentleman named Merck McCurtis, who was a big music executive, started a fund called Hypnosis. And he was paying artists like 20 times, like 20 years worth. And he was acquiring catalogs from like Timberland and songs from like the biggest.
Is this the guy that's been buying? Because there's some big artists that have been selling all their publishing as of recent. I think, was it Quay? There's a couple artists.
So there's different, all the companies I mentioned are doing this, but Hypnosis was the biggest one. And they went from offering 8 to 12 times earnings to like I heard even 25 times earnings, which is crazy. So if I'm an artist and I'm 50 years, I'm Timberland. I don't know how old Timberland is. Let's say he's 50 years old, right? I can sell the next 25 years of my earnings, which means I can get 25 years of earnings right now when I'm 50, or I can wait till I'm 75 and get paid out every single year until I'm 75. And people like even Justin Bieber and others are cashing out hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know what Tim is. I can look it up. I'm sure it was in that, right? So they're selling and they're giving all the catalog in their songs. And I don't know if they're selling 50%, 100%. I don't know the intricacies of the deal. There's a method behind where I'm getting at here. They're selling these catalogs to these hedge funds. And then what the hedge funds are doing is they're packaging these different asset classes into a security. So now I have 20 different catalogs, and I spent 20 times earnings on this catalog, and these catalogs are worth $1 billion. That's at 20 times earnings. However, when I go to value those catalogs, I forgot what they're called. Investment grading companies have to come and grade the investment. And I take a look at the security offering, like mortgage-backed securities. It's like stocks, but it's mortgage-backed securities. And I take a look at song catalogs. You paid, what did I say? Let's say I paid $1 billion for this, but it's not worth $1 billion. It's really worth probably $2 or $3 billion of it because it's going to generate revenue beyond the 20 years.
Right. So
now I have an asset-backed security. I sell it into the market for $3 billion, or I create a stock and I sell it into the market for $3 billion. I just made $2 billion on my money because I bought assets that were worth less than what they get over the term of their life. And I was able to convince an artist to sell it to me at 20 times earnings, which is great for the artist. And I'll tell you the flip side of this. But now I have an asset that I spent $1 billion on that's worth $3 billion. Now I can go take a loan out against that. So you're probably like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
I just did this.
Okay.
So I own pieces of publishing on certain records, and not Mims, although I do own a little piece of publishing on some of his stuff. I took the songs, my business partner and I, not Mims, my other business partner, we took some of the songs that we own and we took an advance, essentially a loan out. So we didn't sell it. We didn't sell our rights out fully. We took a loan out against our future earnings. And what we're doing with the money is and the investor's making a good return. The investor is making, let's say 7% a year. Which may not seem like a lot, but the banks are giving you less than 1% right now. So he's making 7%, right? The cap rates, like I said, in property are 4%, 5%. He's making a 7% yearly return on his money for, let's say, the next 6 years. And I'm giving up. I'm obviously, so he gave me an advance on future earnings with a fixed return. So he knows exactly how much money he's going to get. I know exactly how much money I'm going to get. I already got it. My thought process is that I can do better than the investor. The investor's making 7%. I can make more than the 7% that I'm basically giving him 7% a year.
In Bitcoin? And put in Bitcoin?
Exactly what I did.
So you basically...
I did what Michael Saylor was doing, where he's taking his cash and converting it to Bitcoin. I took that strategy and I took what the hedge funds are doing, which is to buy. I took the reverse side. I sold.
So you basically gave a little bit of interest to get all your royalties up front in advance and then just invest them in Bitcoin.
Correct.
Thinking that it's going to outpace. Yeah.
Yeah. So far, I'm destroying them.
Yeah. Wow. How many are you just did this, or are you a couple years in? Or
I just did it like a few weeks ago, before Trump took office, right before the election. Why do you think I did that?
Yeah.
I bought Bitcoin. I sold my royalties. I bought Bitcoin. Right. I mean, I bought Bitcoin I bought Bitcoin when it was less than $1,000. But I bought Bitcoin recently with this strategy when it's $50,000. Bitcoin's $90,000 now.
Crazy, man.
I basically doubled my return. The investors like jerking off for 6-7% a year.
Yeah.
But by the way, he's happy. So, in business, I'm going to give you another philosophy. This is, I don't want to call him a mentor, but it's called get your unequal fair share every day. I'll repeat that. Get your unequal fair share. Well, how could something be fair and unequal? It took me a while to actually conceptualize and really think that through. Because in business, we always feel like 50%, or we're gonna do a 50-50 deal. You and I are business partners. We're gonna do a 50-50 deal. Well, what if what I'm bringing to the table is worth 80%, and what you're bringing to the table is 20%? What if I own a club, and I'm like, I need the dopest DJ in Miami. I need Chops to come and do it. Well, this club cost me $10 million to build, right? Why am I going to give you 50% of my club, right? You're a DJ. Not to knock that. You'll bring the people through the door. We'll make money. I'll give you 10 or 20%. Are you cool with that? Any DJ, well, most DJs would be stupid to not. Well, I want 50% of the club.
Right.
No, I'm good with 10%. So is it unequal? Yes. Is it fair? Absolutely. And as long as two people in a transaction, this is how I look at business. I never look to fuck somebody over. I look to get my unequal fair share every day. And by the way, maybe I'm getting less than you. Maybe it's a different scenario. Maybe I'm getting 5% or 2%.
Right.
I just did a deal for something. I'm not even going to say what it is. I took 2.5% of something just now.
Wow.
In a potentially $1 billion.
Right. And you make a bunch of little deals where you get little percentage, and that adds up. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, this guy said, Eric, can you do X, Y, and Z for me? I will give you 2.5% of XYZ company if you can do that. Now, what if I said, well, I want to be equal partners with you? He'd be like, Eric, my company is worth, $100 million.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would I give you $50 million equity? What you're, but if I do what I say I'm going to do, this company could potentially be worth this. And now I just made myself a crazy amount.
Right.
So it was unequal, but it was, I was very happy with what I got. I thought it was going to give me less.
Wow. So you're a tech enthusiast as well. Like, what kind of tech AI? Maybe let's touch the AI topic. Where you at with AI?
Ooh, man, it's funny. You're
gonna get a Tesla robot?
No, I'm not getting it. I have a Tesla though. By the way,
which Tesla you got?
Fuck Elon Musk. By the way, I have the Model Y, but I bought. This is how much of a lunatic I am. Bitcoin went up one day. I said, let me go get this Model Y. I bought the Model Y for $72,000 during COVID,
and he dropped it.
What do you mean drop?
Dropped the price.
Well, he did, but I'll get into that in a second. I bought it. I got it on the showroom because all these companies manufactured this inventory shortage, like Rolex is doing with watches right now. Fuck Rolex, by the way. I tried to buy one, and they're trying to fuck me.
You're on a list, bro.
No, I told them I'm off the list. I said, fuck them. I'm not doing it. I don't like the games they're playing. Yeah, nah. Anyways, I'll get the Rolex eventually. But the Y, I'd rather buy Bitcoin. It was the only one. It was
you can't wear Bitcoin, bro. You can't get hoes with Bitcoin.
I could borrow against it. And that's
okay. That's like a T-shirt. You can't get hoes with Bitcoin.
That's a good one. The hoes that know that you have Bitcoin.
You could literally tell a Miami chick like that you don't have like a Miami chick could have two options: the guy with a nice Rolex or the guy that has 2 Bitcoin. You tell them I got 2 Bitcoin. They'll be like, ew, I'm gonna go with the guy with the Rolex. I feel like you could put 10 Miami chicks and line them up and be like, pick one: the guy with the Rolex or the guy that just says he's got 2 Bitcoin. They're gonna pick the Rolex guy.
Yeah, I can walk in this room right now, and there could be someone here flashing jewelry on camera, and I could be sitting there, and the chick will be like looking at him and not knowing that I probably worth 1,000 times more than the guy sitting. Anyways, so I bought the Model Y off the showroom floor because I didn't have any, and it had like 1,000 miles on it, and it was like 72,000. I was like, oh, this is whatever. I was happy with the car, great car, love it, no complaints about the car. And then Elon dumps the fucking price to like 55,000. Now, why did Elon do that? Well, he has more competition from Chinese manufacturers and other manufacturers, but he's going for share price. So he lowers the price, more people buy more Teslas, his share price goes up. So he didn't give a fuck about the customer. So I was very disappointed. I wrote Elon a nice little tweet and I sent it. He doesn't give a shit. But I'm
an Elon guy though. I like Elon.
He's probably He's literally the modern day Einstein. He's our modern day. I mean,
right. And he's on the right team. Thank God. We got to go against Bill Gates. He's like the demon, like the enemy. He's like the Joker to me. He's like the bad guy on the bad team, and Elon is like the good guy on the good team that's going to save the world.
There's no smarter entrepreneur on the planet in our lifetime than Elon did. I don't care what anyone says. There's no one smarter than Elon Musk.
Right.
That guy is a fuck.
And let me say this. And there's no entrepreneur that is that rich that has balls like him.
Right.
He's got balls.
Well, I did the tweet. I said, I mean, what is he, the second or first richest man? I said, this is the definition of fuck you money. He literally does and says whatever the fuck he wants to do. He does not care about the repercussions. He does not give a fuck. And then I go on CNN and I see people calling for him like, he needs to resign. I'm like, you don't want Elon to resign.
Yeah.
I mean, this was years ago. I'm like, you want Elon to resign from Tesla? Really? You think that's going to help your share price?
He seems like a genuine person to me, though. Like, I feel like everything he's going to get involved with the government and the way he's just so transparent on Twitter. And let's be real, him buying X Twitter was not the best. It was a terrible financial move, but he really just did that because he genuinely felt like freedom of speech was at stake.
Well, let me give you so he lost money with Twitter, although maybe eventually he'll make money. But right now it's a lost leader for him. Lost leader. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Well, he's taking a loss with Twitter, but now he gained Trump's support and he's in the government. And quite frankly, the U.S. government, our taxpayer dollars, propped up electric car vehicles where they were giving subsidies. So Tesla was able to use subsidies to attract buyers. So while X was right now maybe not as profitable for him, he was able to get into that government, which he's going to be able to manipulate to do whatever the fuck he wants. So it's going to be such a fun show to watch. Yeah. You just got to be cognizant of it. Trust me, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing with it.
Yeah.
He has the voice of the people right now. He has the biggest social media play.
Yeah.
And
but I like the way he's transparent. Like I could be wrong, right? But he's just transparent about everything. Like he tweets like us. Like, like, bro, this shit looks crazy. Look at the government just spent fucking 50,000 on pandas in China. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. He tweets about the negligence.
Yeah, but let's not kid ourselves though. Even though he has he's an amazing mind, and Tesla is an amazing car and he delivered an amazing product, the government helped his company succeed.
Right.
And will continue to help his company succeed.
Right. I just think he's well-intentioned. That's all. Like just being, a judge of character.
He's a purebred capitalist, man. Can't knock him.
Yeah. So as far as AI goes, where are you at with AI?
Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I may or may not, I don't want to go too deep into it, be doing stuff with like AI and music. Okay. I think that there's there's holes in music contracts right now. And I think that there's a real lane for AI. I don't want to see AI take away money from musicians and IP artists. But I want to see AI fill the void, and I don't want to get too deep with it AI is fucking incredible, man. What do we need to? I'm using AI right now to write my investor decks. I'm using AI right now to write to code websites. I'm using AI for a lot of stuff. It still requires human interaction.
Right. You got to know how to like prompt it. It's like you got a genius assistant next to you. So you still got to learn how. That's the skill I think is going to be that will need to be mastered, is to be a master of how you demand what you need of the AI.
We were talking about the younger generation. The younger generation is going to be AI millionaires and billionaires. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. I have my son going to coding school. I have my son doing AI. I want him to know more about and how to utilize AI than me. However, I am a little bit scared in that AI is going to make, in conjunction with our school systems, is going to make the next generation a lot more stupid.
Right.
Or lazy too. And I don't want to see that. My son doesn't know how to write in cursive. They don't teach cursive in the public school systems in South Florida.
Damn.
It's not like, I get why
I learned it when I was in school here, but I
get why the schools aren't using cursive. Everything's on the computer right now. You don't.
Right.
But at the end of the day, like, maybe I'm a little bit old school in that, but that's just like the low hanging thing of what they're not teaching.
Yeah.
They're not teaching our students or our young people. And I think that if once they introduce AI into the school systems and the learning curriculum, it's like, my son really has to study. He could just go on AI and ask it. In 5 seconds, it's going to tell him everything he needs to know.
It's kind of like the calculator, bro. When the calculator came out, now you don't got to fucking spend all that time and do it on a paper and a pen, but the technology's there. Why not just use a calculator, But I don't know, man. I guess some of the good things, it's going to revolutionize the medical field, That's going to be incredible. I'm a little scared as far as security purposes go, because you're going to have AIs just all day trying to break into shit. That's a concern of mine. But yeah, man, I mean,
identity theft. I mean, there's gonna listen, with every technological advancement, there's always pain points. There's always, and then it gets to a tipping point. And I think that we're at the kind of seeing that tipping point with Bitcoin right now, which is a technology, by the way, right? Governments are gonna start accepting it right now. It's like game over, man.
Do you see a crash, bro? Like a real estate crash happening? Like a major.
I mean, real estate runs in like 10-year cycles. It was supposed to happen right before COVID, and then COVID came and then it acted as an accelerant to just people realize people are getting 3% interest rates, like ridiculous, that will hopefully never see again. I don't want the rates to be where they are now, but 2% and 3% is fucking disgusting. It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, government was giving money away. They're basically like, here, you get a house and you get a house. I mean, it's 3%, right? If I knew then what I know now, I would have bought. I would have bought Bitcoin. I would have leveraged it and buy property. I would have bought everything. But do I still see a real estate crash? Not in Miami. That's all I can talk about. Not in Miami. There's no inventory. People are still coming here.
Yeah.
I know what's happening with the pipeline. I know with the development. I know who's moving here. it's not.
And you're saying South Florida in general, right?
Right.
Including Broward County.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, bro.
Like,
So
like even like West Palm South.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy, bro. Because I'm actually like in the market because I'm ready to buy.
People are leaving here though. You know, like people like working class people are leaving. They can't afford it here anymore. That's not good.
Yeah, it's the problem is that there's people just use it. This city is a money laundering city. It's like a side chick. So like people don't make money here. They just put their money here. So the prices are high, but people can't live here. You can't make the money here.
Well, it's changing. I think people there's jobs here. There's growth here. There's venture capitalists here. When I had my tech company in 2017 and 2018, there was very little venture capital here. Now some of the biggest venture capitalists in the world are living here, literally living here with their firms set up here, and you know, Florida's pro-business and our tax law for our taxes we have no state income tax here. And we have what's called the homestead exemption, which when I talk to all of my celebrity clients, I tell them this and they're like, they never knew. And I'm like, so your business manager never told you, which is the homestead exemption. So what the homestead exemption does is it caps your property tax.
That's what I had in my crib
at 3% a year.
Before I sold it by the Hard Rock. Yeah.
So if you had a house for $400,000 and now it's $800,000, and you had a homestead exemption, you're not gonna get this crazy increase in your property taxes because it doubled in value.
You just gotta live in it. But
correct.
But I think it's like after the third year you could file for it. I think.
No, you could file for it immediately.
Right away?
Yeah, immediately. Your homestead exemption. If it's your primary residence, it's the only way to do it. It has to be in your name, not in a business name. Right. But here's what it does for celebrities. Like Diddy, for example, he was able to use, or he proposed to the court that he would use his Star Island house as collateral for his bail. So if he ever fled, they could just take his home. It was the collateral because he owns it. Here's why. And this is what the courts are aware of. If your primary residence is in Florida, and there's other states like Texas, but your primary state is in Florida. If your primary residence is in Florida or in Texas, and you have homestead exemption, no one can take your property away from you as long as you pay your mortgage and your taxes. So if I, God forbid, committed a crime, or if I go home, and I kill someone in a car accident by mistake, and they charge me with manslaughter, they could take everything from me, all my personal assets, but they can't take my home away from me. So if you're a celebrity and you're getting sued all the time, or we're in a very litigious country, unfortunately, people can get sued for any reason for anything. In California, New York, they could take your home away. Right. Spy, see us, your family's on the street, and in Florida, they fortunately cannot do that.
Right.
Yeah. Why do you think O.J. Simpson moved here before he was going to jail? He relocated from California to here because when you buy here, they couldn't take, even when he was in jail, they couldn't take his house away.
Yeah. Damn, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of celebrities here.
It's crazy, man. I sold that spot that you went to a couple years ago. I sold it and I waited.
Do you regret selling it?
No, just because, maybe we could dive into this topic. Just the HOA, bro. Is that the HOA didn't let me rent it out. There was a waiting list. They were so militant about the whole renting it out. I felt like I was in fucking Russia or some shit.
HOA are small governments. So if you're in a condo association or homeowners association, you are part of a small government.
That's the problem with Miami real estate, bro, and buying condos. Are you of the belief never buy a condo? Or never buy a...
Well, I don't advise my clients to buy condos, but I don't stop them. It's like I can't tell them what they can and can't do.
Right.
Condos on the water are very much high demand right now. So I sold my friend a condo using the Bitcoin strategy. She bought an $800,000 condo. I'm not gonna say what area we're in. We're right around the corner from here. It's worth $1.2 million now. She leveraged her Bitcoin. She borrowed against her Bitcoin. She bought an $800,000 property. Her Bitcoin's gone up 3 times in value. Her property's gone up $400,000. You think she's happy with my strategy?
Yeah. Those HOAs could just come out of nowhere though, and just like, bro, I've been reading about horror stories, bro.
Sure. Yeah. All the
$500,000 assessments and shit.
All the big hedge funds like the BlackRock, the boys that run the country, that pick the presidency.
Right.
They're buying single family homes in non-HOA communities because it reduces the overhead. It increases their cap rate because they have less of an expense. It's
fucking crazy, bro. But yeah, man. So I'm at a point right now where it's like,
you can make money with condos, though. I don't want to steer people away from saying you can make money. You can make money with anything if you're smart. If you buy it,
Just HOA is just another pain in the ass that you got to deal with, and it's an unpredictable variable that you can't really...
Someone's in control of your money. That's never a good feeling. Right. Which is why Bitcoin, you're in control of your own money.
You see, man, that's what, so I'm here, sold my crib, and now I'm here ready to buy. I've been ready to buy, waiting for the interest rates to come down a little bit. But now
it's not going to happen for a while.
Right. And and now I'm here rethinking, like, damn, do I put that down payment and just throw it in Bitcoin and see where it's at? It's making me rethink everything, It's you know, like you said, you're not telling me what to do or you know, but you're just
You're
putting
having
the
me on
facts
this.
on
You're
the
having me
table.
on this podcast to help you through this situation.
This is therapy for me, Eric. This is what this was. This was a personal
Listen, I've been
one.
wrong. You know, I've told people to buy certain things and privately, of course, and they've lost money. But whatever I tell someone to do, I'm following it also. You know, like when I said, you know, me and my partner CL, shout out to CL from DigiWax, we took an advance against future earnings on royalties. Mims didn't want to do it. He didn't believe in the strategy.
Right.
Not to say he didn't believe in the strategy. He had his own reasons for not doing it. I'm not going to get into it on this podcast. And my partner CL and I did it, and so far we're crushing. And of course, Mims called me yesterday. He goes, "Okay, I think I'm ready to do what you guys do." I'm like, "Bro, so
I mean,
Bitcoin jumped 35% right
there's
now.
we can't say the train is too late, right? Where do you see the upside?
No,
of Bitcoin?
there's trains. Like I just said, for the first time in history, I myself and other individuals like myself, even you, we were able to buy something before the governments and before the banks and the institutions got control over it. Like, shout out to you. And when I say shout out to you, shout out to anyone who's watching this Instagram, YouTube, podcast. Shout out to you if you bought Bitcoin or crypto before the big boys came and got it. You're a fucking visionary.
Right.
So no, you're not too late.
Right. Okay.
Because by the way, governments are going to start buying next year.
Okay. But when people were saying, yo, Bitcoin's going to hit 100K, and it was at like maybe 30K, in my head, I'm like, I doubted it. I really doubted it, bro. And I'm wrong.
Here's how OG Bitcoiners, this is how people value Bitcoin, I'll tell you right now. They look at it, like I said, as a hedge, as a store of value, like gold. Gold has a $17 trillion market cap right now. Bitcoin's market cap, I think, is $2 trillion. I can look at my phone, but it's live streaming. If you believe that Bitcoin could achieve 50% of gold's market cap, that's gold's market cap, I think, is 17 trillion. That's $8.5 trillion. Bitcoin is $2 trillion right now. So that means that Bitcoin, if you think it could get just half of gold's market cap, 4 times the value it is right now. So what do we say this? 90,000, it's actually more than that, but 90,000, 360 grand. If you believe that Bitcoin will match gold's market cap and even start chipping away at gold's market cap, so Bitcoin becomes a $17 trillion market cap, that's 8 times the value of what it is now. Well, it's $90,000 times 8, $720,000 for one Bitcoin. That's why people are like, it's going to be 200, 300 easy. Like my bear case for Bitcoin, me personally, the bear case, meaning the highest point Bitcoin will be in my lifetime is 300 grand.
Your bullet.
No, bear, meaning the lowest. The lowest I think it's going to be in my lifetime, like before I die, is 300 grand.
Wow.
Not that far away.
Yeah.
Not for me to die, but
right,
300 grand is not that far away. So could it be $1 million? Sure.
And you're confident in technologies being developed and companies being created that it makes exchanging your Bitcoin easier?
Sure.
Like you think we'll get to a point where like you touch your phone with my phone and we send each other Bitcoin?
Okay, sorry. So that's the other thing that's happening under the Trump presidency. There's rumors that they're going to allow banks to custody Bitcoin. So you go to the bank account and they're holding your Bitcoin for you. Now, I don't necessarily agree. I would never do that. But this means that the average, like you just said, making it easier. You don't have to go to Robinhood, or maybe you could buy it from, I don't know what it's going to be. But the banks will be able to custody your Bitcoin. The way that the exchanges hold your Bitcoin now, or you're holding it in your own wallets, now you can go to Bank of America or Wells Fargo and your Bitcoin's in your account, which, by the way, makes it a unit of currency, which we didn't even get into the little Trump thing. He's potentially going to do so that when you spend Bitcoin to buy things, there's no capital gains. You don't pay capital gains.
I heard that.
Yeah, that's probably going to happen. That's when you're going to see Bitcoin fly, because it means that, and it also helps with 1031 exchanges for property. So with a 1031 exchanges for investment property, if I buy a property for 500 grand and I sell that property next year for $1 million, I made $500,000 capital gain. If I held the property for longer than a year, I pay 15% capital gains tax. I'm not a CPA, but you pay 15% capital gains tax on that, which is like $75,000. Now that's small when you're talking about $1 million property, but what if I have a $100 million building, which people sell all the time, right? Anyways, it's just 15% capital gain. So in order for me to defer paying that capital gains tax, I have to, it's called a 1031 exchange. I have to identify a property very quickly, and I have to spend the $1 million into or more.
Put it right back in a different property.
In a different property. Right. Before in 2018, you were able to use, check this out, or before 2018, you were able to use your property gain in Bitcoin or crypto, your capital gain, as a 1031 exchange. So if I bought Bitcoin for $1, and Bitcoin is if my Bitcoin is worth X whatever, and it's worth $1 million today, whatever the gain is, I can now take the $1 million of Bitcoin. If I want to sell Bitcoin into dollars, I can sell it into dollars, and I can now buy property and not pay the capital gains tax on my Bitcoin earnings. Before 2018, they stopped it. Trump, I think, is going to bring it back. So he's going to say, listen, if you spend money to buy anything, if you buy property or 1031 exchanges, you're not paying capital gains tax on it. So that means that Bitcoin can now be a form of currency that we can actually use to buy things. Because like I said before, who's selling Bitcoin when the price is fluctuating so crazy? Now it's been fluctuating, it's been going up. And then when you make money on it, you now have to pay tax on it. Again, Republicans, pro-business, low taxes. Like, let us have fucking fun in the sandbox.
Like free market. Let the free market rock. So, I mean, Erik, today, like if you had to take out, $200,000 in Bitcoin and change it into cash for whatever reason, how would you do that today?
The easiest thing is I would go on the exchanges on Coinbase or Gemini and sell it, or I can
do it with that much. You could.
Sure, I could do it with the $10 million. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be that wise to do it all in one shot because the price is going to, the way that you avoid price fluctuation. So if I was to go on an exchange and sell $1 million of Bitcoin, let's just say I sell it at like 93,000. Well, all my order is not going to get filled at the same price. The order is going to go up and down in value. It's probably going to go up, meaning I may sell Bitcoin right now at 93 or down. I may sell it at 93,000, but then the next thing I sell it at is like 92.8 and then 92.7. So I'm not getting it at the $93,000 mark. I'm losing it because I'm putting more into the market. I'm increasing the supply in the market, or the circulating supply, not circulating. I'm increasing the supply in the market. The way that you kind of avoid that is you go to an OTC dealer, which is called overseas, like a off-counter trading desk. You're not doing it on the exchange. You're working out a deal with the buyer of it, but you have to be very careful about who you're doing business with because they're going to KYC and AML you. They're going to know your customer, anti-money laundering. They're going to identify who you are so that you're not laundering the money. And these companies will buy your Bitcoin at a set price because they want to get it in bulk, and that helps you avoid the price fluctuation. Over the counter. Sorry, I forgot the word. OTC is over the counter.
So, if you had to take $200,000 right now out of Bitcoin and change it to cash,
that's not that much. Yeah, I mean that's.
It's relatively easy.
Yeah. And Bitcoin is, what the most liquid asset in the world is cash. I can use it anywhere. The second most liquid asset is Bitcoin. I could sell that. 1 second. There's such a liquid market for Bitcoin. Other currencies, other cryptos, not so much.
And you don't pay taxes on that, right?
Sure you do.
That's not capital gains.
Yes, now you do. There you go. When Trump comes in office, I think that's going to go away.
Okay.
That's why no one sells Bitcoin right now.
Right.
None of my clients do. They borrow against it to buy property, or they just never sell it.
So So if you took out 100, to make the numbers easy, if you took out $100,000 in Bitcoin, I think would you say 15% of that goes to the gain?
Okay, so capital gains is if you hold the asset for less than a year, it's 30% or something like that. I think it's 30%. Again, not a CPA. 30%. If you hold the asset for longer than a year, it's 15%. So there's long-term capital gains tax and there's short-term capital gains. Your short-term capital gains is like 30%. So if I bought Bitcoin at 50,000 before Trump was in office or before Trump got elected, $1 million worth, and then I sold it right after he got elected, and it's now worth like $2 million.
That's too quick of a time.
Right. That $1 million, I'm paying 30%. I'm paying $300,000. So I made $700,000, but I paid $300,000 to Uncle Sam. Why the fuck would I do? Why the fuck would anyone do that?
Yeah. All right. Shit. Erik, thank you for pulling up, bro. We touched a lot. How long have we been going for?
Yeah. I'm like losing my voice over here. I hope it wasn't too boring.
An hour and 45. No, it was it was not boring to the right people, bro. Trust me. People with a fucking IQ and are concerned about their future, it was not boring.
Yeah, and I want to point out, I've said this multiple times, I don't have a Wall Street background at all. I don't have necessarily I am a real estate agent, so I've been licensed in that. I'm getting licensed in other things, so I'm not a dummy, but I learn.
I mean, if you told me 3 years ago when we did this podcast, when Bitcoin was at 30,000, and you told me, Chops, buy this right now, trust me, put 30,000 into it, I would have had 90,000, and you would have been my You know, I would have threw a party for you, bro. We would have went to Medellin together.
We could still do that.
Yeah.
It's very cheap to go to Medellin.
No, you're. Oh, that's right. I did see you in Medellin. Bro, I've been going to Medellin since 2015 was my first time going there.
I discovered it last year. I've gone probably 6 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to me about it. What was your?
Well, it's a very nice place. I mean, you're in the mountains. You know, it's called the Eternal Spring. It doesn't get higher than 80 degrees. It doesn't really drop lower than like
you live in
68
AC
degrees.
basically.
Yeah, I mean the window. You keep the windows open. There's
because
like
you're at the equator, so it's warm, but you're up in the mountains, so it's cool. So it's like this perfect regional temperature. You
right.
know?
People are nice. The food is cheap. You know, our dollar. You know,
stretches.
Talk about inflation.
Not as much as it used to stretch, bro. In 2016, that shit was stretching like 4 to 1, bro. Almost 4 to 1.
Yeah.
Now, you know, it's not the same, and it got a little. It's more expensive now. Like
remember, Bitcoin thinking. If you value your net worth in Bitcoin and not dollars, my Bitcoin when I spend it in Colombia, which I don't, but I'm just using a hypothetical here. If I bought Bitcoin for $5 and that Bitcoin's worth, you know, 1,000 times that right now. Yeah. My $5 in Medellin makes me like the richest guy in Medellin in Bitcoin thinking.
No. It's crazy how you.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Bro, you have to think of your.
I'm gonna buy a place in Medellin. I mean, that's my dream.
I'm looking to
there.
build. I'm actually I'm going there a bunch of times to build. I'm looking to build out there like $1 million in the mountains.
They'll give you citizenship and everything, bro. You buy it, bro. That's what made me learn Spanish, bro. That's why I'm fluent in Spanish, bro. Now I go there and I'm good, bro. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, it's definitely getting built up.
Fun place. I think I look at Medellin how Miami was 20 years ago. I think that Medellin has the potential to be like.
Yeah, I get sick when I'm with those hills and the driving, bro, through Poblado. Like, bro, the way those shit up and down, I get motion sickness driving there. That's my only issue there.
Yeah, but and the cars are small, right? So it's like
your fucking head is against the window and shit.
I stick my head out the window. I get it, but usually I'm so drunk it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but have you been to Cartagena?
No, the only place I've been is I've been to. I know I gotta go.
So Cartagena is like the Miami of Colombia. So it's like Colombia on Medellin on a beach. You know what I mean? So.
I like the mountains. I don't. I'm from New York. I didn't get mountains in New York. You don't get mountains in Miami.
The views, bro. I try to tell people like haven't been around the world, but I could tell you Medellin is the most beautiful city in the world, and I haven't even been around the world because the views, pictures don't do it justice, bro. Like
no, I've been around the world, and I'm telling you, I mean like that, like Thailand, like there's that Medellin is up there, and it's a 3 hour plane ride for us, man.
Fire, bro. Yeah. Eric, plug your social media. Let everyone know where they can follow.
Erik Answerman, ErikAnswerman on all platforms like Twitter and Instagram. I'm really active on Instagram. I'm not really that active on Twitter, but
TikTok, bro, is one I gotta get on.
I'm not on. I'm too old. I don't do.
Yeah.
I gotta focus on.
Yeah.
That was like a real Gen X type of statement. But
my brother, thank you for pulling up, bro.
My man.